Another example of a possibly useful function is one that might do the common sort of plotting activities that become very familiar. So here you may remember this was from an earlier lecture about scripts. We had this plot command with its argument to have a blue line connecting the data, have a title label for the x-axis and a label for the y-axis. Well, those seem like they might be repeated often every time you want to make an XY plot. So why don't we make a function that does that? So I'll go to over here to our editor, and we just have to remember we say, okay, you always start function. In this case, I'm not going to have any variables come back. I'm just going to have the command, have the function do some stuff. So my XY plotter. So I'm going to need to give it its arguments x and y. But then I'll say, all right, well, tell me what the title is. So my title, my x label, my y label, and my plot style. Now, one thing I'm doing is, you see I said my, x, y, my, title, whatever. Its main thing is I want to be careful because some of these variable names might actually be ones that MATLAB uses. You know, if I just said x label, y label, we know those are actual commands. So let's not confuse MATLAB. Okay, so now we just do our usual plotting, but we're just going to say plot x comma y comma, and then we know this would be my plot style. And then we can say title, my title, and x label, my x label, and y label, my y label. So notice here, because these are variables that I'm dropping in here, the quotes are actually inside the variable for these strings or sequences of text. So if we go back, you can see how the difference would be. See how these arguments look. Okay, so let's save our function. Remember, it has to be saved with the same file name as the function name. So my XY plotter. And now what I'll do is I'll just copy this. I'll go into my old script, and I'm just going to make some changes here, but I'm going to use the pieces of it that I have already. So we know that x is actually that first column of the discharge, right? So notice how I replace the x variable with the discharge first column. And it's, remember, the function acts like it has all these slots. You just drop the variables in the top, and the function doesn't care what you call them. It just matters what the order is. So that y value is this one, and then the title is here. And the x label is going to be day of year. The y label is the daily discharge. And my plot style will be this one, B dash. So it's a blue line connecting them. Okay, so now what the point is here is that we can, you may not be impressed, but we can get rid of all this stuff, and we have a single line that should do the same thing. So let's just save this as a different file name so we can compare. So I'm just going to say with plot function, say save. Over, and I decided to try to run my function. but then I got an error. It says unable to read SR discharge, no shot. So what's going on? So if I just type ls, I can look and see what's, let's just list of what's in my directory. But if I can also look over at the current folder, I see, okay, so I have my XY plotter, my function, but there's a directory called old, and inside old is where my the data are. And so this is a really key point, is you need to make sure that there's a clear pathway to all of the files that are called in a particular script or function. So I need to have my main script in the same places where the plotter function is, but I also need to make sure the data are there. So I'm going to just move those data up one level into the same directory. So I can type ls just to confirm, okay, looks like I have all what I need there, so I can try to run it. And very nice, it looks like it worked. Okay, so then to make the final point about how the function can be useful is, here we are in our script, we have our function command, and let's say we wanted to change how the plot appeared. We can just change this, let's say, to r dot. That would give us a, red dots. Save. Go back to the command line here, and I can run it. And so there they are, red dots. So it's really important to see the power of that, in the sense that we didn't have to, necessarily overhaul the whole script. We just changed one argument to our new function, and we could proceed